If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below. Careful, Jer. You might piss off the religious zealots that don't realize we're only joking when we make fun of religion in these videos. With the amount of insane stuff these people believe, you'd think they'd be able to take a joke. You know, like Will Smith. Reading. And that is why this video is over 27 minutes.
I'm sassy.
The power of boners is evidently strong enough to overrule the weirdness that Richard Rob Stark Madden would fall for a character named Cersei.
Everything wrong with Eternals. An actor who played a character in a TV show is playing another character in a movie that is in love with a character that shares a name with another character in that show. Also, Jeremy says boner.
Got shot. This is the funniest death since Sam Jackson in Deep Blue Sea. Also, I think it's fair to assume that the less imaginative X-Men have some sort of deviant detecting gadgets to help with their mission, so it feels like some bullshit that they all got here just in time to not be able to save this poor kid's father. Jesus, Icarus was in the fucking sky, so why did he just watch this poor bastard get eaten for the sake of his dramatic entrance?
You have obviously seen this movie, so you know that the Eternals are not perfect. They do not win every fight against the deviants and are sometimes late to appear to the party, and that's when the casualties rack up. They're like the police. They show up after the crime has been committed.
We got a speedster, we got a flying laser man, we got a badass Jolie with a trident, and a really powerful punch man? Imagination all tapped out after the glow-apparating trident?
So you recognize all the other characters are superhero archetypes, but fail to recognize the character with super strength? That's like the main superpower that 90% of all superheroes have. Saying this is the one that lacks imagination while showing The Flash and Superman is pretty funny to me.
Finger guns.
And in a single sin, you have immediately contradicted yourself. You just said Gilgamesh was unimaginative, but when Kingo presents a relatively unique ability, you still sin it. Movies literally cannot win with you.
Discount Kamehameha. I know there's a lot of super beings to cram into this movie, but does everything have to feel so derivative of shit we've seen plenty of times before?
It's more like a discount Hadouken, which has origins older than the Kamehameha, which is a beam. I mean, if you're going to pretend like you know anything about Dragon Ball, you could at least get something that actually resembles the most famous attack from the show.
I'm glad everyone could get into the hero pose for this shot, but I'm especially happy that Angelina Jolie could recreate her 2012 Oscars pose at the same time.
I know you're getting up there in age, bud, but, you want to get your eyes checked? Aside from the obvious lack of hand on hip, you can clearly see Angelina's knee is pointed in a different direction. Like seriously, the sin here is that she's standing.
I know I'm late, Johnny.
If you were worried you were going to be late, why did you set your alarm to can't make it on time o'clock?
You're excluding a bit of context from the scene. Cersei immediately gets on the subway after her alarm goes off, implying that she was only late because she was lollygagging around London, not that 9 a.m. was the start time of her class, which is what you're implying. It's roughly 9:30 by the time she reaches the Institute, which tells me that her class begins at 9:30. The real sin here is that when she actually reaches the classroom, time has apparently gone back 15 minutes.
Amid the measureless grossness and the slag.
Allowing a man that knows nothing to teach classes.
He's quoting Song of the Universal. If that's knowing nothing, then we're all stupid. And this is pretty rich coming from you, the guy that has been allowed to run rampant on YouTube for 10 years without knowing shit about the stuff he talks about.
Who can tell me what an apex predator is?
It's a cheetah when you ask the Mandalorian for a second wish he didn't earn.
Jeremy makes a Wonder Woman 1984 pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the movie cliche.
This deviant emerges from the water and says, "What's up?" and inexplicably goes back down into the water again. I guess it just wanted an unseen audience to know that the deviants are back.
Says there's an unseen audience while showing there was a witness.
Wow, I guess nobody wants to discuss the apparent global earthquake that just hit earlier today. Time to go to a bar and fucking party.
But that earthquake was literally all over the news. What do you expect them to do, not go on with life? I mean, those moronic Paul brothers threw a huge party during the height of the pandemic. Let's not act like this isn't normal human behavior. Stupid, but normal.
Since we're going to find out that Arasham is an evil fucking celestial who creates worlds only to destroy them, only to create more celestials in a pointless circle of life.
Let me stop you right there. Arasham is not evil. Granted, he could be beyond the understanding of human morality, but human morality is fickle and fragile. If you believe the creation of life is good, then Arasham is the epitome of good. If you subscribe to the Judeo-Christian ideas of morality, how is Arasham not like Yahweh? He destroys what he creates in the pursuit of something greater, just like Yahweh has done in the Bible over and over. Maybe Arasham just works in mysterious ways.
Since we're going to find out that Arasham is an evil fucking celestial who creates worlds only to destroy them, only to create more celestials in a pointless circle of life, I don't understand the reasoning behind creating your Eternals with very specific skills like this. Wouldn't you want all the Eternals to have deviant killing powers?
The Eternals were all sent here with a goal that was divided up into specific roles. They are here to cultivate life to acquire enough energy to birth a celestial. In order to do that, they have to not only protect humanity, but steer their development in such a way that the species propagates. So while the main fighters have wondrous abilities that allow them to fight would-be threats like the Deviants, Eternals like Sprite, Festus, and Cersei are there to inspire humanity. That isn't to say that they can't also fight the Deviants, as they all possess some degree of superhuman physiology and their unique ability. I mean, Festus is able to invent weaponry even though he's the scientist of the team.
Like, why the are cars even driving down this road when they see a clearly visible monster walking around on it? Do London muggles still not see Fantastic Beasts and couldn't find them even if you handed them Fantastic Beasts and where to find them?
But the Deviant just climbed out onto the street. You're saying this as if the people who are happily driving down the road should know there's an intergalactic super being on the specific road they're driving down. They'd only be able to see it from where the crash happened, which was still a significant distance from the creature, as can be seen here.
Richard Madden looks so much like Henry Cavill and has powers so similar to Superman that by the time the credits roll in this movie, people are going to demand the Snyder Cut.
In what universe does Richard Madden look like Henry Cavill? And Richard Madden doesn't have powers similar to Superman. Icarus does. But since Superman is the prototype superhero and has a stupid-ass amount of abilities, nearly all heroes have powers similar to Superman.
It's too bad I can't change sentient beings.
But why? Wouldn't that be a game-changing power to use against the Deviants? And if her power was deliberately limited to prevent it from being used against humanity, how the do you explain Mind Master drew it?
First of all, she can transmute sentient beings, as she later does it in a life-or-death situation. But how do you figure the situation you brought up is in any way equivalent? Cersei's power would kill a human. How does Druig's mind control equate to killing a human by turning him into a 6-foot dildo? I swear, you just say things and think about them never.
Why didn't you guys help fight Thanos?
Yawn! No matter what answer she gives, it's bullshit. The real answer is Marvel didn't have plans for the Eternals when all the Thanos shit went down, so they didn't technically exist.
Except that's not at all true. Get this, Infinity War officially debuted on April 23rd, 2018. Literally on the same day, an article was published on The Wrap with Kevin Feige confirming the Eternals was already in early development and that the film would be centered around Cersei. So my question is, do you enjoy talking out of your ass? Because most people think flatulence is rude.
We were instructed not to interfere in any human conflicts.
But just the conflicts. Feel free to reveal your interstellar starship, go wild with a dramatic superhero lineup shot, or give away precious artifacts that apparently shaped human history. Just make sure you don't save any lives in the process.
Let's actually pay attention here. First of all, the Eternals were not hiding from humanity. The little rant you went on about them showing their ship and giving early humans tools means nothing. Second, the fight against Thanos was galactic in scale. The Eternals are based on Earth. Thanos avoided Earth until the very end of Infinity War, and when he got there, that fight lasted all of 10 minutes, and it was in the secluded and secret Wakanda. Humanity didn't know that fight was happening. How could they have possibly known Thanos' plan to decimate half the Earth and universe's population? My point is, how does anyone expect the Eternals to show up and fight a fight that not only was happening in secret in a secluded and well-guarded location, but was also over in a matter of moments? Ebony Maw and Black Dwarf went to New York, sure, but that was another fight that was basically over very quickly and ended up in space just as fast. By that time, the Eternals were already spread out over the globe, and as this movie demonstrates, they nor the Celestials are omniscient.
Let's go to Ajax first.
Sorry, every time I hear this name, I think of Ajax, the household cleaner, or Ajax, the fighter.
Skip.
This steam
Engine. It's a steam
it's too
engine.
soon.
Non-interference in the progress of a less advanced race seems like a no-brainer.
Actually, Festus is doing his job. Ajax's point was that the tech was too advanced for where they were in humanity's development, not that he shouldn't interfere at all. That's literally what he's here to do. interfere.
Also, in Fasto's defense, this is the most specific brand of non-interference I've ever seen. Don't give the humans technology, but blow their minds by living among them and entertaining them with a sky cinema. Don't let them be killed by deviants, but allow them to butcher each other by the millions.
Exactly, doofus. They are allowed to interfere except in human conflict. That they aren't allowed to interfere at all is something you've randomly made up, which is weird because you just said that Cersei gave humans tools. This is what a straw man looks like, people. Attack something no one said.
Beautiful Macari, you're late.
How can a speedster ever be late?
For a man that always, albeit incorrectly, points out irony, it's amazing how you miss this bit.
King in sand.
Sir, that is a rock.
Wait, were Icarus and Cersei dating for nearly 1,000 years before marriage? In the previous scene, they were in Babylon, 575 BC. Now it's 400 AD. I know time is different for Eternals, but holy shit, that's a long courtship.
No, we're not just going to skip over the fact that you've answered yourself. They are literally named Eternals. 1,000 years to them is the we're just talking period for us. Frankly, I'm surprised they're moving this fast.
It is weird to me that the Arishem communication orb waits until Cersei is within CPR distance to finally change bodies. When talking about the wonders of the new universe, why the f didn't this thing immediately trek to London and find Cersei?
Because it obviously doesn't have the capability to do that. The sin you're trying to make here is this made-up technology doesn't work like I think it should. I mean, really?
Also not asking for consent before going ball deep.
Are you sure you talked to Tharsham?
What else would it be?
Mad weary.
Mad weary is when an Eternal's lifetime full of memories cause a mental break. Mad weary is what I get when I watch 150-minute comic book movies that drag on eternally for a lifetime, causing a mental break.
As I've noted in the past, this is one of those sins CinemaSins likes to include in order to get an important bit of the film into play. It serves no purpose besides that, but has the added effect of artificially lengthening the video.
As Athena succumbs to Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or whatever madness they're calling it, we are treated to yet another good guy possessed by forces beyond their control and attacking fellow good guys scene that we've seen a million times in Marvel's past. The chances of anything truly consequential happening here are almost zero. Yeah, they talk about erasing Athena's memory after this, but then decide against it, and her memories aren't key to anything important that happens later anyway, so I'm having a hard time caring.
That's wild. You went on that long-ass rant and said absolutely nothing. Scratch that. What you said was demonstrably wrong. Athena having Mad Weary is the litmus that causes the team to split apart. It's quite literally the point of conflict between Druig and Ajax, and a plot point that becomes important later in the film. You're basically saying the reveal that the Eternals are automatons that get their memories wiped over and over isn't important to the story. Except that is the story.
And all I can do is erase him so that you can start over.
Why can't she be more selective with the memory wipe? Why does Ajax need to reformat the entire hard drive? There's gotta be a ton of stuff in there she doesn't need that can be cleared out, like old recipes, how to speak Latin, or Cyborg 2, The Glass Shadow.
Besides the fact that Ajax knows what's actually going on with the Eternals, she needs to wipe Athena's memory completely because this would simply continue happening to her in the future. You're not paying attention to the title of this movie. They are called Eternals, meaning they can potentially live eternally. Your solution is putting a band-aid on a wound that requires surgery.
Hey guys, Kumail just got here and he is super f***ing ripped. Did none of you bozos tell him he's just a comic relief and isn't even in the finale?
Oh, so now we're treating real life as a mistake of this movie, eh? As shown here, Marvel didn't even ask him to get buff, so what's actually happening here is a man made a life decision for his own health, and Jeremy's sinning it because he's supposed to be the funny guy. You mean like The Rock?
What are your names again?
My name.
It doesn't matter what your names are. You like you just stepped out of Oliver Twist? Please, sir, may I have some more advice, sir? You want some advice? Here's The Rock's advice. Shut your mouth. Because if you don't do that, The Rock is going to find your friend Mary Poppins. He's going to take her umbrella. Yeah, he's going to shine it up real nice. He's going to turn that summit sideways and stick it straight up your candy asses. Straight out of the jabroni beating, pie eating, trail blazing, eyebrow raising, entertaining the globe, never hotter, talking to two rejects from Harry Potter. So that's how you win over the crowd.
You need to come with us.
I can't just go. I mean, all these people depend on me. We just started shooting this movie.
Kingo was put on Earth by a galactic super being for the specific reason of killing the deviants. How is a movie production even remotely competition compared to that?
The movie so far has been showing us the Eternals are just like us, in that they have conflicting feelings regarding their obligation to Arishem and their love of humanity. The scene with Druig that you just sinned showed how being unable to stop humans from killing each other deeply affected him. My point is that Kingo has been living with the Indians for centuries and has fallen in love with them and recognizes his responsibility to them and their livelihoods. You say the reason he's here is to kill the deviants, but he's also here to progress human culture, and what better way to do that than with cinema? CinemaSins?
Life affords no greater duty than to protect one's family. Remember, it's your favorite line from The Shadow Warrior 2. Voyage of time.
Taking advice from sequels.
You have to work hard. Intelligence is not a privilege, it's a gift. And you use it for the good of mankind.
Twisted!
Nobody ever wonders how you managed to be the leading man for over 100 years.
That is my great-great-grandfather. That is my great-grandfather. Grandfather?
Yeah, but even if you were able to somehow fool everyone into thinking you're part of a long lineage of Bollywood actors, which is impossible, they'd still have questions as to why every kid looks exactly the same every generation. Look, Reese Witherspoon's daughter Ava looks a ton like Reese Witherspoon, but she doesn't look exactly like her. Okay, there are exceptions.
So they'd have questions. Big whoops. He obviously has been sporting different facial hair and hairstyles over the years, so he's at least attempting to disguise himself. Hell, with the Reese example you just gave, if you told me her daughter was her, I'd believe that. Ice Cube's son is another example of this, as is the daughter of Meryl Streep. My point is, this isn't as rare as CinemaSins is trying to make it seem.
What took you so long?
Look, the strong punchy man is wearing a funny apron. Laugh, mortals, laugh!
Or Don Lee is a pretty big Korean star who is well known for his subversive comedic style, and this appeals to that demographic. This is equivalent to putting Kevin Hart in a Korean drama but expecting him not to be funny.
I'm Karun, Kingo's valet.
Oh, valet. Like Alfred in Batman.
Wait, what? One of two things is happening here. Either Marvel is acknowledging that DC Comics exist, or the DC heroes themselves exist. I'm just saying, that's fucking weird, and it's going to make even less sense in 2038 when we see the first Avengers vs. Justice League movie.
This is them acknowledging that DC Comics exists in the MCU, the first of two of those references in this film alone. However, in Marvel Comics, the DC Universe also exists as another universe in the multiverse and as a media property, as The Thing watches Superman the Animated Series on TV. There are tons of mentions of DC in Marvel's comics, my favorite probably being 2020's Thor, where Black Winter mentions it destroyed a universe containing a sun god, a god of emerald light, a god of dark, a god of the ocean, a god of speed, and a god of strength, which is a clear reference to the Justice League. This isn't even the first time a Marvel movie character has mentioned DC, as Aunt May explicitly name-drops Superman in the Raimi films.
You do too much. College, a job, all this time with me. You're not Superman, you know.